Hello everyone, I am your host Deepak Verma. Come with a new topic, genetic technologies. In this tutorial, we will discuss about DNA sequencing, then southern blotting, then RFLP, RAPD, and lastly the restriction mapping. So these five topics we will cover in this tutorial. So let's begin with the sequencing. Elamite, sorry, gel electrophoresis. So this technique, before going to start this, actually some you have to know that what is basic idea of this sequencing. So there are several procedures for DNA sequencing, but by far the most popular is the chain termination method. The first devised by Fred Sanger and colleagues in mid 1970s, chain termination sequencing has gained for several reasons, not least being the relative ease with each of technique can be automated. As we will see later that a genome project involved a huge number of individual sequencing experiments and it would take many years to perform all these by hand. Automated sequencing techniques are therefore essentially if a project is to be completed in a reasonable time span. So, before to start, just an idea, what is a gel electrophoresis? So, polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis is used to examine the families of chain terminated DNA molecules resulting from a sequencing experiment. Agarose gel electrophoresis cannot be used for this purpose because it does not have that resolving power needed to separate single strand DNA molecule that differ in length by just one nucleotide. The polyacrylamide gels have smaller pore size than agarose gels and allow to precise separation of molecules from 10 to 1500 base pair in length. As well as DNA sequencing, polyacrylamide gel are also used for other applications where fine-scale DNA separations are required. For instance, in the examination of application product of PCR directed at microsatellite loci, where the products of different alleles might differ in size by just 2 or 3 base pairs. Polyacrylamide gels can be prepared as slabs between two glass plates held apart by spacer or in a long thin column suitable for capillary electrophoresis. So I'm not going to the chemistry behind this, how this polymerize and all that. Directly come to the sequencing part. So polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis can resolve single-stranded DNA molecule that differ in length by just one nucleotide. This illustration shows the bending pattern obtained after the separation of single-stranded DNA molecules by electrophoresis in a denaturing polyacrylamide gel slab. The molecules were labeled with radioactive markers and the bands have been visualized by autoradiography. In a polyacrylamide gel, the separation between individual DNA molecules increase with their migration towards the positive electrode. Therefore, the bands seen on the autoradiograph are further apart towards the bottom of the ladder. So in practice, with either a slab gel or a capillary system, molecules up to about 1500 nucleotides in length can be separated. If the electrophoresis is continued for long enough. Now we comes to our chain terminating DNA sequencing. Chain terminating DNA sequencing is based on the principle that a single standard DNA molecule that differ in the length by just one single nucleotide can be separated from each other by polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis. This means that if possible to resolve family of molecule representing all length from 10 to 1500 in a series of bands into a slab or capillary gel. The starting material for chain terminating sequencing experiment is a preparation of identical single standard DNA molecule. The first step is to anneal a short oligonucleotide to the same position on each molecule. This oligonucleotide subsequently acting as a primer for synthesis of new DNA strand that is complementary to the template. As shown in the figure here, the standard synthesis reaction, which is catalyzed by DNA polymerase enzyme and requires 4-deoxyribonucleotide triphosphatase DNTPs, DATP, DCTP, DGTP, DTTP as substrate, would normally continue until several thousand nucleotide has been polymerized. This does not occur in a chain termination sequencing experiment because all well as 4 deoxynucleotide, a small amount of each 4 dideoxynucleotide triphosphate DDNTPs, DDATP, DDCTP, DDGTP and DDTTP is added to the reaction. Each of these dideoxynucleotides is labeled with a different fluorescent marker. The polymerase enzyme does not discriminate between dideoxy and deoxy and dideoxy nucleotide, but once incorporated, a dideoxy nucleotide blocks further strand elongation because it lacks the 3' hydroxyl group needed to form a connection with the next nucleotide. Because the normal deoxynucleotide are also present the large amount than the dideoxynucleotide, the strand synthesis does not always terminate close to the primer. In fact, several hundred nucleotides may be polymerized before a dideoxynucleotide is eventually incorporated. The result is a set of new molecules, all of different length and each ending in a dideoxynucleotide whose identity indirect the nucleotide A, C, G or T. This is present at the equivalent position in the template DNA. To determine the DNA sequence, all that we have to do is identify dideoxynucleotide at the end of each terminated molecule. Actually, I have to see the next picture. Yeah, this one. This is where the polyacrylamide gel comes into the play. The DNA mixture is loaded into a well of polyacrylamide gel slab or in a tube of capillary gel system, and electrophoresis carried out to separate the molecule according to their length. After separation, the molecules are run past a fluorescent detector capable of discriminating the labels attached to the dideoxy nucleotide. The detector therefore determines if the molecule ends in the A, C, G or T. The sequence can be printed out for examination by the operator, the below figure, as I showed in the below figure, or enter directly into a storage device for future analysis. Automated sequencer with a multiple capillary working in a parallel can read up to 96 different sequences in a 2-hour period, which means that with an average of 750 base pair per individual experiment, 864 KB of the information can be generated per minute per day. per machine per day. This, of course, required round-the-clock technical support, ideally with robotic device used to prepare the sequencing reaction and to load the reaction products into the sequencer. If such a factory approach can be established and maintained, then the data needed to sequence the entire genome can be generated in a period of weeks. Now we move to the what are the alternative methods for DNA sequencing. So there are two methods: chemical degradation sequencing and the pyrosequencing method. So in chemical degradation sequencing, one limitation of the chain terminating sequencing is that it may not be able to provide an accurate sequence if the template DNA is able to form interstrand base pairs. Interstrand base pairs can block the progress of DNA polymerase, reducing the amount of strand synthesis that occurs, and can also alter the mobility of chain terminated sequence molecules during electrophoresis, meaning that in the order in which the molecules pass the detector is no longer determined solely by their length. Interstrand base pairs do not hinder chemically degradation sequencing, so this method can be used as alternative when such problem arise. The chemical degradation method is similar to the chain terminating sequencing in that the sequence is determined by examining the length of molecule whose terminal nucleotide is known. However, these molecules are generated in totally different manner by treating with chemicals that cut specifically at a particular nucleotide. This means that at least 4 separate sequencing reactions must be carried out, one for each nucleotide. So the starting material is double stranded DNA, which is first labeled by attaching a radioactive phosphorus group of 5' end to each strand. DMSO is then added and the DNA heated to 90 degree centigrade. This breaks the base pairing between the strands, enabling them to separate it from one another by gel electrophoresis. The basis of this being that one of the strands probably contains more purine nucleotides than the other and is therefore slightly heavier and runs more slowly during the electrophoresis. One strand is purified from the gel and divided into 4 samples, each of which is treated with one of the cleavage reagent. To illustrate the procedure, we will follow the G reaction, as I showing in the next picture. Yeah, this one. The first molecules are treated with dimethyl sulfate, which attach to a methyl group to purine ring of G nucleotide. Only a limited amount of dimethyl sulfate is added, the objective being to modify on average just 1 G residue per polynucleotide. At this stage, the DNA strands are still intact, cleavage not occurring until a second chemical, piperidine, is added. Piperidine removes the modifying purine ring and cuts the DNA molecule at the phosphodiester bond immediately upstream of the baseless site that is created. The result is a set of cleaved DNA molecules, some of which are labeled and some of which are not. The labeled molecules all have one end in common and one end determined by the cut site, the latter indicating the position of G nucleotide in the DNA molecule that were cleaved. Similar approaches are used to generate additional families of cleavage molecules, though these are usually not simply A, T, and C families, as problems have been encountered in developing chemical treatment to cut specifically at A or T. The four reactions that can carried out are therefore usually G, A plus G, C and C plus T. This complicated thing but does not affect the accuracy of the sequence that is determined. The family of molecules generated in each reaction is loaded into a lane of polyacrylamide slab gel or electrophoresis. The position of the band in the gel are visualized by autoradiography. The band that has moved the farthest represents the smallest piece of DNA. In the example shown in here, this band lies in A plus G lane where is no equivalent size band in G. So the first nucleotide in the sequence is A. The next size position is occupied by two bands, one in C lane and one is the C plus T lane. The second nucleotide is therefore C and the sequence is so far as AC. The sequence reading can be continued up to the region of the gel where individual bands were not separated. Now we move to our next method, the pyrosequencing. This does not require electrophoresis or any other fragment separation procedure and so is more rapid than either chain terminating or chemical degradation sequencing. It can only generate a few tens of base pairs per experiment, but it becomes an important technique to situation where many short sequences must be generated as quickly as possible. For example, in SNP typing. In pyrosequencing, the template is copied in a straightforward manner without added dideoxynucleotides. As the new strand is being made, the order in which the deoxynucleotides are incorporated is detected, so the sequence can be read as the reaction proceeds. The addition of deoxynucleotide to the end of the growing strand is detectable because it is accompanied by the release of a molecule pyrophosphate, which can be converted by the enzyme sulfurase into a flash of chemiluminescence. Of course, if all the four deoxynucleotides were added at once, then the flash of light would be seen at all the time and no useful sequence information would be obtained. Each deoxynucleotide is therefore added separately, one after the other, with a nucleotidase enzyme also present in the reaction mixture, so that the deoxynucleotide is not incorporated into the polynucleotide, then the rapidly growing degraded before the next one is added. This procedure makes it possible to follow the order in which deoxynucleotides are incorporated into growing strand. The technique sounds complicated, but it simply requires that repetitive series of addition to make the reaction mixture. Precisely the type of procedure that is easily automated. Detection of chemiluminescence is very sensitive, so each reaction can be very small volume, perhaps just 1 picoliter. This means that up to 1.6 million reactions can be carried out in a parallel on 6.4 square centimeter slide, enabling 25 million nucleotide of sequence to be obtained in 4 hours. A rate of sequence generation some 100 times faster than it possible by the chain termination method. Now we move to the southern hybridization. As we know that gel electrophoresis is a powerful tool for separation of macromolecules with different sizes and charges. DNA molecules have an essential constant charge per unit mass, thus they separate in agarose and acrylamide gels almost entirely on the basis of size or conformation. Agarose or acrylamide gels act as molecular sieve uh, retarding the passage of large molecule more than small molecules. Agarose gel are better sieve for large molecules larger than a few hundred nucleotide. Acrylamide gels are better for separating small DNA molecules. So the separation of DNA restriction fragment by this agarose gel electrophoresis is not so much useful for us. The procedure used to separate RNA and protein molecules are largely the same in principle, but involve slightly different techniques because of the unique properties of each class of the macromolecules. So, in 1975, E.M. Southern published an important new procedure that allows investigators to identify the location of genes and other DNA sequences on restriction fragment separated by gel electrophoresis. The essential feature of this technique is transfer the DNA molecule that have been separated by gel electrophoresis onto a nitrocellulose or nylon membrane. Such transfer of DNA of membrane are called Southern blot after the scientists who developed the technique. The DNA is denatured either prior to the or during the transfer by placing the gel in an alkaline solution. After transfer, the DNA is immobilized on the membrane by drying UV radiation. A radioactive DNA probe containing the sequence of interest in the hybridized with the immobilized DNA on the membrane. The probe will hybridize will not with the DNA molecule that contains a nucleotide sequence complementary to the sequence of the probe. Non-hybridized probe is then washed off the membrane, and washed membrane is exposed to X-ray film to detect the presence of radioactivity. After the film is developed, a dark band shown the position of the DNA sequence that have hybridized with the probe. The ability to transfer DNA molecule that have been separated by gel electrophoresis or nylon membrane for hybridization studies and other types of analysis has proven to extremely useful. Okay, so this is Southern blotting is also finished. Next is the RAPD, random amplified polymorphic DNA. So this is useful. Actually, this is a very useful molecular marker in molecular biology. It is quick and easy technique. RAPD can be defined as a method which result in polymorphic DNA sequence as a result of random amplification of multiple locations of the target DNA template. RAPD uses short oligonucleotide primers and arbitrary sequences of the PCR amplification. Primers are artificially synthesized without the prior sequence knowledge, hence it is considered as an easy and useful technique. So, as I told you, this is a developed by amplifying random sequence of a specific marker through the random primers. Its advantage is actually amplify anomalous stretch of DNA using any primers, and it is very fast and easy to detect any kind of polymorphism, especially the SNPs. And it have some disadvantage also. Actually, this dominant markers to add is and the reproducibility is the main actually concern, that this technique is not very reproducible. So now we comes to what are the steps are here involved in this technique. So there are three main techniques. See, the first is the extraction of the target DNA. First, we have to extract our DNA The next is the amplifying of the multiple locations of the target DNA using randomly chosen primer. See in here, see this is your DNA. So this we have chosen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, any six primer and randomly. And now the next is the gel electrophoresis of the amplified PCR product. And the last is the staining with the ethidium bromide. Ethidium bromide is an intercalating agent that binds with the DNA and to visualize the DNA under the UV radiation. So an identification to this particular polymorphism. So as a result of variation in the primer annealing, different fragments with different length are generated during the amplification. Hence, banding pattern on the gels are different among individual and species. Thus, RAPD enables the detection of genetic variation among organisms in identification and differentiation. This is applied in various studies of molecular biology such as identification of genetic behavior, genetic difference between closely related species, gene mapping, DNA fingerprinting, and identification of inherited diseases. Now we move to the next topic. Before going to the next topic, what are the RAPD markers? So these are the markers need to be converted to the stable PCR marker, then polymorphic RAP marker. Bands is isolated from the gel. It is useful template, and re-PCR, new PCR product is cloned and sequenced. When the sequence is determined, new longer and specific primers can be designed. So next topic is the restriction fragment length polymorphism. In short form, it is known as RFLP. Gene maps are not very compressive, so therefore we need some other type of marker. So mapped features that are not genes are called DNA markers. With genes marker, a DNA marker must have at least 2 alleles to be useful. There are 3 types of DNA sequence features are satisfied this requirement. One is restriction fragment length polymorphism, which I am going to discuss. The next is the single sequence length polymorphism, SSLP, and the single nucleotide polymorphism, SNPs. So here I am going to discuss only the restriction fragment length polymorphism, RFLPs, were the first type of DNA marker to be studied. Recall that restriction enzyme cut DNA molecules at a specific recognition sequence. This sequence specifically means that treatment of the DNA molecule with a restriction enzyme should always produce the same set of fragments. This is not always the case with genomic DNA molecule because some restriction sites are polymorphic, existing as 2 alleles with 1 allele displaying the correct sequence of the restriction site and therefore be cut when the DNA is treated with the enzyme, and the second allele having a sequence alteration so the restriction site is no longer recognized. The result of sequence alteration is that the 2 adjacent restriction fragments remain linked together after treatment with the enzyme, leading to a length polymorphism. As I shown in here, this is an RFLP, and the position of a genomic map can be worked out by following the inheritance of its allele, just as is done when the genes are used as a markers. There are, though, to be 10 to power 5 RFLPs in a mammalian, non-mammalian, actually human genome. In order to score RFLP, It is necessary to determine the size of just one or two individual restriction fragments against a background of many irrelevant fragments. This is not a trivial problem. An enzyme such as EcoRI with a 6 nucleotide recognition sequence should cut approximately once every 4 to power 6, that means 496 base pair, and so would give almost 8 million fragments when used with human DNA. After separation by agarose gel electrophoresis, these 8 million fragments produce a smear of DNA, and the RFLP cannot be distinguished. So then we need this southern hybridization, which I have taught you earlier, that using a probe that span the polymorphic restriction site provides one way visualizing RFLP. And, nowadays, PCR is more frequently used for this technique. The next is the simple sequence length polymorphism. This is actually mini satellite and micro satellite. This comes in also known as this variable number of tandem repeat VNTRs, and as you know, this SNP. SNP is a position in a genome where some individuals have one nucleotide and other have a different nucleotide. Okay, now we come to this is the method. Two methods for scoring the RFLP. When I have shown you this southern hybridization, and another is the PCR method. So as you have to restrict the digestion enzyme completely, then a particular probe is used here. So I have to see this pen. So see, this is the smear comes. Okay. Now this particular DNA probe, which binds anywhere, a particular position at here, and see this for individual 1 is here and individual 3. Sorry, this is one is control 1, second, and then individual number 3. For in the PCR, see if this polymorphic site is here, then PCR primer used as here for this DNA, and this kind of, see this band and these two similar results are found. But this is actually this used X-ray, and this very tedious and hard working, and this is very simple method, this PCR one. So nowadays PCR methods are very used. Now we move to our next topic, which is the restriction mapping. So restriction mapping is also, we can say that this is linkage mapping. Actually, the right term is the linkage mapping, how these genes are located in an individual. Using electrophoresis, we can separate the fragment of the restriction digest by size. With technique to be described, we can locate the restriction sites on the original gene or piece of DNA. That is, we can construct a map of restriction recognition sites that will give us the physical distance between sites in base pairs. This restriction map is extremely valuable for the several reasons. For example, when the radioactive nucleotide tritated thymidine was added for a very short period of time during the beginning of the DNA replication in SV40 virus, the radioactivity always appeared in only one restriction fragment. This demonstrated that SV40 replications started from a single unique point. That point was localized to a particular segment of the SV40 chromosome. In addition, a restriction map often allows researchers to correlate the genetic map and the physical map of a chromosome. Certain physical changes in the DNA, such as deletion, insertion, or nucleotide changes at restriction site, can be localized on the genetic map. These changes can be seen as change in size or in the total absence or certain restriction fragment, when compared with wild-type DNA. This information allows us to see the changes in the DNA. It also gives us information about the evolution of species. The difference in fragment size are called restriction fragment length polymorphism that I taught you earlier, and have proven valuable in pinpoint the exact location of genes and determining the identity or relatedness of individuals. A restriction digest is also useful for isolating short segment of DNA that can be easily sequenced. So question comes here. So how we construct this the restriction map? So this figure showed a hypothetically piece of DNA cut by restriction enzyme A. Below this map is a diagram of electrophorized digest on agarose gel, which are usually used because their porosity allows DNA fragment or relatively large size to move. The restriction enzyme makes 3 cuts in the DNA, generating 4 fragments that are 250 and 400 and 100 base pair long. The bending pattern on the gel at the left in figure is the result of the electrophoresis of the digest. See here, the smaller segment move faster than the larger segment. The size of the segment are determined by comparison with standard of known size. The gel does not reveal the order of these segments on the chromosome. Several methods can be used to determine the exact order of the restriction segment on the original piece of DNA. Before restriction enzyme digests, the 5' end of the DNA can be labeled radioactively with labeled phosphorus using the enzyme polynucleotide kinase. Such the enzyme is acting on double-strand DNA, both ends will be labeled. Upon electrophoresis, after digestion on the DNA, the 200 base pair and 100 base pair bands will be labeled radioactively, indicating that these segments are the termini of that piece of DNA. However, we still don't know the order of the middle pieces. So, the order of the other segment can be determined by slowing down the digestion process to produce a partial digest. If the restriction is cooled or allowed to proceed for only a short time, not all the restriction site will be cut. Some piece of the DNA will not be cut at all. Some will be cut once, some twice, and some cut at the 3 restriction sites. The result of electrophoresis of this partial digest seen to be the right side of the figure. From this gel, we can reconstruct the segment order. This gel contains the 4 original segments plus 6 new segments, each containing at least one uncut restriction site. So, up to here. So, actually, we have to move to the next slide to more understand about this. So, how this constructs? See, from the total digest gel, we know that 200 and 100 base pair segment are on the outside because they were labeled radioactively. This means 50 and 400 base pair segments are on the inside. In the partial digest, we find a 200 base pair segment but not a 150 base pair segment, which tells us that 50 base pair segment lies just inside and next to the 200 base pair terminus. There is 500 base pair segment but not a 600 base pair segment, which tells us that 400 base pair segment lies adjacent to the 100 base pair terminus. An unlabeled 450 base pair segment confirms that the 400 and 500 base pair segment are adjacent and internal in the DNA. We thus unevocably reconstruct the original DNA, creating a map of site of restriction enzyme recognition regions separated by the known length of the DNA. So this by this map, by this technique, we can construct a restriction map. So we have finished today four topic: DNA sequencing, southern hybridization or southern blotting, then RAPD, then RFLP, not 4, 5. Then the last is the restriction mapping. So finished it. Next. Okay. Thank you for all listening this tutorial. Thank you again.